Okay, several years ago there was a study made in England on English and Asian interactional patterns. This was because there was inequality when there was job interviews and when there were interviews between social agencies and the people that they were supposed to service. And most of these people were Asians. Okay, during that study, there were several key people that were involved. And as a result of that study, they produced a film called Crosstalk. And this Crosstalk dealt with the two groups, the English and the Asians, engaged in interaction, which resulted in miscommunication and misunderstanding. So this film was viewed here in Alaska, and several of the, I think, the university's people that were studying communications, interactional communications, invited these key people that were in that study over to Anchorage. And in that conference in Anchorage, many of the cultural groups of Alaska were participating. Mm-hmm. And so they also made a film called Gatekeepers, the job interview, as a result of this crosstalk, as a result of the conference that happened in Anchorage. And so this film that we are about to see is a segment taken from the longer version of Gatekeepers, the job interview. And it shows several things that might happen when two people from two different cultures are interacting with each other. There's particular instances that I'd like to be focused on. And one of these is the part where Velma Schaefer, an Athabascan lady, describes her experiences as she underwent a job interview here in Alaska. And also try to place yourself in the positions of these people as they describe the experiences that they've had, which resulted in frustration and repeated communication breakdowns. Okay, not only does miscommunication between the English speakers and the Yupik speakers occur in this area in job interviews, but they also occur in jobs themselves, mm-hmm. where in a lot of situations the supervisor is most of the time an English speaker, and the people that are in the lower categories, lower job areas, are the Yupik speakers. And also one of the things that happens a lot is that a lot of Native people have a hard time, say, verbally communicating with their supervisors, probably at meetings and other areas when they're expected to talk back, mm-hmm. and tell of their jobs and descriptions, because that might the expectations there of the English speaker is different than the Yupik speaker. Their assumptions and their views might be different. And when things like this happen over and over again, each of the participants in this interactional pattern form stereotypes, mm-hmm. of each other. Okay, the stereotypes that we have of the English speakers as portrayed in that film is that the English speakers are always talking all the time. Now there's a difference in the different scale notes that we use. The Yupik speakers use about 3 scales of the musical mm-hmm. scale, and it seems like the English speakers use all 5 of the scales. Now, when you're a little child and you're growing up, you get used to those scales. And what happens is the Yupik speakers from stereotypes of the English speakers of always being excited, because in our interactional patterns, the higher your pitch is and the higher your tone is, it shows either a sign of disapproval or a sign that you're very, very excited. So we form the stereotype of English speakers always being excited or saying things at a higher scale that tells us that we did something wrong. Well, one of the things that that a lot of native speakers, you mentioned when you perceive that what you're saying is not being understood by the native speaker, you raise your voice and speak a little slower.
Mm-hmm.
To a lot of Yupik speakers, that is very insulting because we allow, when we speak in that tone of voice, we're speaking like to a child.
Mm-hmm.
And we're trying to get them to do something that they're not doing. And when that happens, it's very insulting to the Yupik person when they hear a voice that's raised and the words are being spoken simply. One of the mechanisms that we use in showing respect to the other person as portrayed in the film is that pause.
Mm-hmm.
Is the amount of thinking that a Yupik person does in their minds before they answer or respond to a question or a thought that was given to them from the English speaker.